Hello, everyone, and welcome. So, I did one of these earlier this week with a very lovely woman, and if you haven't seen my showcases before, what this is I network with some really cool people, and every now and then, some people just kind of, excuse me, stick out. They just stand out. Hold on, and I want to share them with you because they have things that I think my audience can use, or expertise, or events coming up. So I want to share them with my audience. So this week, who I want to what's the word share with you is Jenna. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you so much for having me, Wendy.
Yeah. And I don't know what my problem is. All of a sudden I'm like really tongue tied. I'm like trying to get words out. Um, so Jenna and I have kind of known each other for a while through a couple different businesses, or what would you call them? Networking, connection, collaboration sort of
Yeah, I think
groups.
that's a good way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to share a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So, my name's Jenna Piche. I'm a time management coach. So, I really help entrepreneurs and really working professionals wade through their crazy to do lists, come up with a short set of priorities that will make them feel accomplished and move them forward, and do all of this without sacrificing their health or their most important relationships. And the reason that I coach this is because we tend to coach the things that we've best gone through. I actually started this business thinking that I was going to be a health coach. I really struggled with my health as I was trying to manage all the things, a full time job, two growing kids, having a relationship, cooking healthy, and all the other things that come along with life. And I didn't manage it well. I've burned myself out more than I would like to admit. And I just thought there's got to be a better way. So initially, I wanted to be a health coach and help women really learn how we could do this better. But as I talked to so many working women, I heard, I'd love to spend time on my health. I just don't have it. I'm too busy with all of these other things. So now I've really settled into this area of optimizing. How can I help women in particular really optimize our time and our schedules so we can create space for the things that really matter to us?
That's huge because I think about my own life. I mean, health was always on even though I was chronically on a diet, it was always on the back burner. I had always had things that were more important.
Hmm.
So I think time management, obviously I could see where that could come into play with someone like myself who always just put the health stuff, I don't have time. I'll focus on later. I'll just kind of do little bits of things that I've learned along the way and just do that.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I really enjoy about having that health coaching background is now I bring that into how I show up for my clients. So
Mm,
there is a lot of tactical and practical to what I do. We talk about how to manage your calendar, how to set goals, make progress, but we also talk about biohacks. How can you
mm.
show up so when you are here in your chair during work hours, you are focused, you can get more done, so you feel like you can shut off the work and show up in these other areas without that guilt of, oh, I still need to get to that thing on my brain.
Yeah, that brings up a good point too, because I've been on like virtual events and I've got 20 things running like in the back of my mind, or I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna quick sneak this in. I'll turn my camera off, or maybe I can make it look like I'm not working, but everyone can see when you're working in the background, because it's in my head and it's I'm spiraling about it, so I have to do it right now. But I imagine you how people kind of get out of that cycle of I have to do it this very second, or you just don't do it at all.
Yeah, well, when we feel like we have to do it this very second, we end up opening all of these loops that then we can't close.
Yeah.
And the world is really designed to be distractible for us. First we've got all of this busy mentality, I have to run, I have to hustle, I have to do all the things by myself. But also there's the other piece of keeping us distracted. There's a whole industry that makes money when we get and stay distracted.
Yep.
So we're really fighting this uphill battle. So, yeah, what I do with my clients is help them focus on what is the most important work and then really resetting that expectation to we don't have to do all of the things. We just need to do the few right things that are going to move us forward and then accept that the work is never going to be done, which is something that a lot of us have a really hard time letting go of. We
Yeah.
can't do it all. It's not done until we take our last breath. So, what are we okay with being undone? And that answer is different for everybody.
Love that. What are we okay with being undone? That's a quotable you should use. I love that. So who would you say is your ideal client?
Yeah, so I really work with two groups of people. The first are a lot of solopreneurs, women who are juggling all of the things. And it isn't just kids. I have worked with folks who have aging parents that they run back and forth to appointments. And so they're trying to grow and run a business while having all of these other demands outside of work.
Mm.
So with that group of folks, I really help prioritize. It's one of the challenges that I see the most. We get 5 minutes and we waste that 5 minutes thinking, what can I do rather than actually getting work done.
Yeah.
So that's the first group, entrepreneurs. The second would be team leaders. So folks who
Mm.
are maybe in middle or senior management, running teams of their own, but also in charge of getting the work done. And I think one of the things that we see in a corporate environment is we get so overwhelmed by all of these meetings, we can't get the work done we're assigned in the meetings, and then we stay up late trying to catch up on today's meetings and get ready for tomorrow's meetings that you never do the meaningful work.
Oh, I feel that. When I worked at a hospital, I was the lead transcription for a while. So I was kind of that in between person between the director, myself, and then all the other transcriptionists. And I can see that where I would get distracted. I've got phone calls coming in, trying to do my job, and then my transcriptionists that were working, they had needs as well. And I was also supposed to be transcribing at the same time. So sometimes it just felt really chaotic and I didn't really know how to balance it all the time.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think that a lot of us use this word work-life balance, but what I've come to use instead is work-life harmony, right? Because I think balance is a myth. Balance is
yeah.
this idea that everything is created equal all the
Hmm.
time, and that's really not the case. When you're
Right.
at work, you're leaning hard into work. And
Yeah.
so, there are certain things that you aren't going to prioritize during that time. But then hopefully, when you're not at work, you can lean hard into your other priorities. Or there are seasons where maybe certain areas of our life take more effort or more time than others. So I think
Yeah.
this first, if there is one thing that we can leave with people, is that balance is a myth and it's all about what is right for us in this season of life.
Yeah. And I feel like what you do is kind of the gift that keeps on giving. Cause I can imagine myself, like back when I worked at the hospital, if I would have heard a speaker like you or somebody who came in and consulted, um, I feel like if I kind of got my ducks in a row, it would have helped like my kids see, oh, mom's got her ducks in a row, instead of me with my rabid squirrels running everywhere, which was pretty much how my life was back then. And same with entrepreneurs, if we are working well with our time management, then that I would think would spread out to even our clients. It would help
Absolutely. Yeah,
everybody.
so there is a huge ripple effect to this kind of
Yeah.
work. So not just how we make more time for our priorities, the the fact that I can shut off work and show up for dinner with my kids shows and proves to them that they are my priority.
Yeah.
But if I continue to work while they are home and don't show up to family dinner, that's showing them a completely different thing. So,
Mm.
yes, it impacts how I live my life, but it also impacts how they feel about theirs and then in turn how they will treat their children. But even in an
Yeah.
environment where you have a team or clients, I was working with a real estate team, and the leader of that team in particular was saying, gosh, if I instilled, for example, I advocate for a meeting free day. So you can actually get the work done. You don't have to take it home on the weekends to try to catch up. Have a meeting free day where everyone can focus and get things done. And he
Yeah.
said, gosh, if I could just honor that meeting free day, think about how my whole staff would get more done and feel like they were given the permission to
Yeah.
focus on the work and not work nights or weekends. And that's this huge weight that what team leader wouldn't want to give that to their staff, especially in an environment right now where it's a really interesting job market. So you want to keep the people that are extremely important and valuable.
Yeah. And I see that with women, especially. And I don't know if you strictly work with women or just if it's all over the board, but I see, like, with women especially, we're kind of the last ones to do things to help ourselves personally. But if we
Mhm.
can see the path of, okay, if I do this for myself, how it's going to help my family, my team, my clients, my customers, I think that's when we're more likely to hire somebody like you to come in and be like, okay, I'm going to learn this, but I can give back somehow. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what it is that we feel like we need to take care of everyone else first before we can take care of ourselves. But you are absolutely right. If the impact of the work that we're going to do will impact people beyond ourselves, we are more likely to invest in it. And I
Yeah.
find that even though we know we need to make the time, a lot of folks really wait until it's too late to make time for this kind of training. They
Yeah,
wait until their health is in a really scary place. They've gotten a scary diagnosis. And so they need to make time for all their doctor's appointments. Whereas if they just would have made time to take care of their health, they'd be in a very different situation.
yeah,
Or I don't know the stat, but it's a ridiculous percentage of entrepreneurs who end up divorced because we spend so much time growing our businesses and doing these things that we know to make
yeah,
this work baby succeed, that we neglect other areas of our life. And to what cost? Not
right.
just that emotional physical cost, but I was looking up the other day, and a divorce can cost upwards of $50,000. So even if you're not looking at the mental emotional cost, that's a huge chunk of change. And
Yeah,
clearly, you got married for a reason. Let's hope you want to keep that relationship and have a good relationship with your kids too. But
yeah,
we tend not to prioritize this until it's too late. So I really wish if I could give the world something, it would just take 5 minutes to do a little planning, to be more intentional about how you show these people how you care. And then
yeah.
you can be more impactful during your work hours so you can create that time.
I love that. That's awesome. So, how can people like? What do you have coming up where people might be able to see you speak or work with you?
Absolutely. So, two things coming up that I'm very excited about. The first is Milwaukee's Women's Entrepreneurship Week is happening May 6th through the 10th. There's some amazing speakers there all week, but I will be at the Mitchell Street Public Library on Thursday, May 9th. So, I'm doing a session on calming the calendar chaos, if anyone can relate, cramming too much into their calendar. So in that I'm going to review the 5 mistakes I see most of us making and how we can really clean that up and feel more calm at work. And that is from 1 to 2:30 Central in Milwaukee. And I can post links to this as well.
Perfect.
But the second is a project I'm really excited about and have been building on. I am launching a podcast on May
Yay.
13th. It's just a couple weeks away. It's called The Other Side of Busy. And it's really going to be a collection of tangible, practical things that people can do to save time immediately, 20 minutes, 15 minutes to really get a tip that you can put into life, whether coaching is accessible or not for you. I feel like these are tips that I wish I would have known as soon as I started working. So, want to share that wealth. And then I'm also going to, after the first few episodes, start sharing some live coaching sessions so folks
Ooh.
can really see. Yeah. So, you hear a real life problem in what people are struggling with, and then you can hear how I might help them through that. So even if you're not quite ready to, take the courage and share yourself, you can learn from other folks.
Oh, I love that because that's almost like group coaching in a way. Because I've been on group coaching where maybe I'm a little nervous to ask a question, or I think, oh, they're going to think that's stupid, or whatever we tell ourselves. And then somebody else asks the question and they get this fabulous answer. You're like, oh man, yeah,
Right?
I should have asked it, right? So I can
Yeah, there's
see where
so
that,
much courage in that. Um,
yeah, so that's hugely beneficial.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to start sharing
Yeah.
those. The plan is to publish at least a couple a month, but it will be launching on the 13th with 3 episodes out there. So I'm going to be talking
Ooh,
about in those first few how to get more done without working longer hours, which is not something any of us want to do. How to stop doing the things you hate, because I'm assuming there are a few in your business that you just don't like.
mhm.
And then another one is a 20-minute weekly practice I do every week to get a really good bird's eye view of what's going on and not drop any balls in life.
Ooh, I love that. And as you were speaking, what came to mind is I'm like, it sounds like you're helping someone with their business, but not have the busyness of the
Yes,
business.
that's a great way to put it, Wendy. I love that perspective. Because some of us wear busy like a badge of honor. We just think that this is the pace
Yeah,
that we have to hustle at. But
yeah,
really, if we are intentional, it can feel like a healthy, I don't even like hustle, but like a healthy way to go about business in
yeah.
having the life and the business that we want.
And I relate to that so much because there's times where I'll be working on a project. It'll be late afternoon, and that's like my time where I just it's almost like I get blinders on, and all of a sudden I like come up and I'm like, it's like 6 o'clock at night, and I haven't even had a drop of water in the past 4 hours. So I've been just so focused.
Mhm.
I think I need to set timers off or something to kind of wake me up a little out of that trance of just, I mean, it's great I get stuff done, but whew,
Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
and
do
then
it.
at what cost? You
Right.
know, so we some of us, when we get in those grooves, it feels really good, but then
Yeah.
one of the mistakes that I see a lot of people make is that we don't plan our rest then, because then if
Yeah.
you were, to continue to push or go, you may not show up as well the next day how you
Yeah.
intentionally want to because you pushed in that way. So, I'm all about getting it done, but in a
Mhm.
healthy way that's sustainable, not that's gonna burn you out.
Yep. And that's exactly what happens is I get done, I'm burned out, we have dinner and I sit on the couch and I just mindlessly like just associate scroll.
Mhm.
Like I just have to like give my brain a complete break. So yeah, I can see what you do is so helpful for entrepreneurs especially.
Yeah, well, you are not alone in the mindless scroll. I was just reading the other day that we check our phones something like 350 times a day. So talk about a huge distraction.
Yeah.
So you have good company, but we all have something we can work on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and I'll make sure that you have like the links below so people know where to find you, where they can go see you on May 9th, check out your podcast and all the cool things you have coming up, which I'm excited to listen to.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. Thanks for the way that you show up and serve the world. And I love the ability to have these conversations, Wendy.
Sweet. Thank you again, everyone. And